Got a dream in a tea last night, watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside, eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on a rise. Abundance and strange the skies. Hello, and welcome to Phoenix Rising. Last week I was talking about the nature of the cycle that we're living in right now, the cross of planning, and how it's so deeply embedded in the channel 4037, this channel of community, this channel of the bargain, the way in which our civilization has been organized around these bargains. But also part of the cross of planning is the 16th gate and the 9th gate. And it says so much about the times that we've lived in, that is, since the beginning of the 17th century, what it's been like for us, the background frequency that's been there to nurture our development. The 9th gate is a logical gate. It's in the formats of the logic system. It's in the sacral center. It's very powerful. And it is a gate that literally focuses us, provides us with the potential for deep concentration. It is a concentration on detail, and the capacity for that energy for detail work. And that energy for detail work is coupled with the 16th gate. It's opposition in the Rave Mandala. And the 16th gate is the gate of skills, and it's the gate of skills in the throat, in the channel of talent. So much about the nature of this cycle that we have, and our grandparents and great-grandparents and so forth have been living in, has been this incredible dedication and detail to the development of skills, and out of those skills, the opening up of all the possibilities that have developed for us in terms of the way in which our civilization has matured. And all of that development of skills and all of that focus dedicated to the tribe, dedicated to the bargain, dedicated to the community, in service of the community. Out of that has come our science and our advances in healthcare over the last 400 years. The way in which humanity in that sense has been organized. Background frequencies are very powerful. Think about what it means that we are moving towards the end of this cycle, when the community and its inherent bargains, when this dedication of skills to the community is no longer the background frequency. The sleeping phoenix, it sleeps, it is on the rise. And the great change that it brings is a change in terms of authority. Without the bargain as a background frequency, who can you trust? Human design teaches you that there is one thing to trust, absolutely, and it is yourself. To be able to operate correctly on this plane, and to be able to do so by your own authority. It is the only thing that really matters. It does not matter what the turning of the wheel brings. It is not about apocalypse. It is not about fear. It's about recognizing that every cycle brings changes. And this change can be deeply, deeply to the benefit of humanity if it can operate out of its own authority. Strategy and authority. This is the key to survival. It is the key to the foundation of becoming aware. Well, on with the show.
Okay. My type is generator. Strategy is to wait, of course. And my authority is the solar plex. So I'm emotional.
So when and how did you meet human design?
It was about 1 year ago. And it came through a friend of mine who was a musician on the island. It's Mel, who did the radio. And he talked a lot about it. And one day he came to my house and gave me a reading. He took himself the time, and we talked about it, blah, blah, blah. A couple of days later, there was a little social thing in San Juan where I met Ra. And we had a conversation. It was very casual, and that was basically what made me, go on. just so yeah. That gave some flesh to it.
And so how was the impact? What was it like in the beginning, the impact?
I was just fascinated, and it was logical and brilliant and full of detail and full of well, being related to every aspect. So I was curious. That was just the beginning, the beginning motivation, more or less. Yeah.
Okay. So where would you say has it made the biggest difference in your life?
The biggest difference certainly in the way how I look at things, and out of that, not trying anymore to find one solution for everybody, and one correctness which could be applied to any situation or to any person, but seeing that there are many different ways of how people could live correctly, and that there's no need to blame them or to blame anybody or to blame me. Tolerance, I would say, tolerance, and again curiosity to what could be possible and what could be possibly correct, and not like trying to adjust the world according to what I think it's supposed to be. That was basically on the personal level. Yeah. Okay.
Follow a PHS dietary regimen.
I do, not all the time, but I'm watching what it does when I do it and what happens when I do not. Yeah.
So what is your determination?
My determination is closed, and what it does is it relaxes my body in many ways. I get better sleep, and I definitely feel clearer when I do it. But I used to like that way of eating before I knew about it. So it was not really like something spectacular. I say, aha, yeah, I know that's good for me, when I was told so. And since then I follow it, well, looking really at what it does. That's basically, yeah.
So you pretty much did it before?
I did it in a way without thinking about it, but not really understanding the whole frame of it. But I always felt more healthy when I could eat the things I'm used to. So I never liked to get strange things, to have to eat strange things.
Keep it.
Yeah, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Simple.
Okay, hello and welcome to the weekly Neutrino Weather Report. And this week we have a real highlight. It's very, in a way, it's a continuity with last week, because of course we were looking at the north node entering into the 58th gate, the first line, the love of life. Well, on the 6th, we're going to have this movement where the node is going to move into the 10th hexagram, and it's going to move into the 6th line. Now, already there, as you can see, is Pluto. That is Pluto standing there in the 10-6, so we're going to have this conjunction of the node, the way we look at the world, the way we see, and it's going to be connected to Pluto in that 10-6. Now, Pluto is an extraordinary force in this age. That is, in 1781, with the advent of the nine-centered being, Pluto was in the 41st gate, the initiating codon, the start of things. In 2027, Pluto will again be in that 41st gate. In other words, what we're looking at is a Pluto interregnum, a complete revolution of Pluto around the sun over these 265 years. Pluto, in a sense, is managing this mutative transformation. When you think about the 10th gate, treading on the tail of the tiger, beware. The treading is the gate of behavior, the potential love of self or not. When Pluto moves through a gate, something is being turned off and something is being turned on. And really, in the purest sense, there's simply a change in balance taking place. There's a change in the way in which behavior, in the way in which we're going to operate in the world, it is being impacted by Pluto. And in this conjunction that we're going to have this week, behavior is going to be one of the themes. What we're looking at when we look at the 10-6 is that we're looking at the gate, the line of the role model, the role model. Now, the dilemma with the role model is that the role model can seem to be deeply hypocritical. In other words, do as I say, not as I do. And that the exaltation of what it is to be a role model is actions that back up words. And these two themes, the hypocrisy and those that put their money where their mouth is going to be what we're going to be looking at the moment that we have the node move into this position and we begin to look at behavior on this plane. At the same time, understanding that by seeing that, we're going to see the two sides. And of course, the way the homogenized world works is that it's going to go on one side or another. In other words, the hypocrites will be attacked. Those that do what they say they're going to do are going to be respected, and we're going to see this laid out in front of us. It's a program. It is the nature of the homogenized world to respond to the impact of the transiting program. Look at the weather, and then watch the world around you and see they're one and the same. It's why it's so important for you to live your own authority. To break away from the control of the homogenized world. To be able to come to grips with that anything that you need to decide in this life, you have the capacity to do within yourself. Trust your inner authority. And then the weather is just for your pleasure. If I could sum up what I've been teaching for the last 24 years, it would be conditioning. It's what you get to see the moment that you truly deconstruct the Maya and you see the mechanism for what it is. Everything is conditioning. This is what the Maya is. And it's not about the conditioning is necessarily this or that, good or bad, because it really isn't the point. The point is being correct. If you're operating correctly, you're going to connect to, integrate with whatever is going to be there, and it's going to be correct for you. But the thing about conditioning that is really so powerful for me is understanding that the very first conditioning is not psychological. The very first conditioning doesn't operate in that level. You come into this plane, the infant that arrives on this plane. The first conditioning and the most powerful conditioning is food. It's food. It's the thing that immediately begins to put us on a track of homogenization. I think one of the most startling things about the knowledge in human design is the understanding that each and every one of us have a very specific way that we are here to take food into our system. Oh, I know that so much of the dialogue out there is all about what kind of food, this kind of food, that kind of food, bio food, natural food, junk food, all this kind of different food. And all these diets that have arisen out of that. Now, human design isn't about diets. The primary health system isn't about diets. It's about this basic understanding about our nature. We each have a unique digestive process. And it is digestion that is the point. The point is, what do you actually take into your system? How do you properly bring nutrition into your system? We each have a unique digestive process. It's something to grasp. And at the moment that we align ourselves to what is the correct way for us to take food in, that is, whether they are specific conditions or circumstances, we begin to align ourselves to what is correct, to what is our particular differentiation. All conditioning begins with food, and most of the planet remains deeply, deeply, deeply conditioned by the diet that they follow in their day-to-day lives, ignorant of the fact that they have a unique way to process food, a unique way that reinforces their difference and their potential. It's truly something to think about.
Got a dream in a tear last night, watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside, eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on a rise. abundance and strange the skies.